It's kind of funny how sometimes the most simple, everyday words can hide the most incredible secrets. Today we're going to dive deep into the Hebrew Bible to unpack just one of those words. A word we all think we know, but that holds an entire universe of meaning. And that word is path, or the way.
So a lot of us probably know this verse, right? Psalm 23. It's super comforting, super familiar. He leads me in paths of righteousness. And that word path, well, it seems so straightforward. It's the road we're on. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? Not even close. What if that one English word is actually covering up a bunch of different, more specific words in the original Hebrew?
And that's really the big question we're tackling. When the Bible says path or way, are we always talking about the same thing? Spoiler alert, absolutely not. Think of our English translation as just the front door. Behind it, there's this huge, incredible landscape of meaning we're about to walk into. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about these hidden meanings. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the different kinds of paths, the real, physical ones, and the metaphorical life ones. We'll see how this whole idea plays out when contrasting the righteous and the wicked, build up to a really cool call to action, and then wrap up with something for all of us to think about. All right, so here's the absolute key. The writers of the Bible didn't just have one word for path. Nope, they had a whole toolbox of words for different kinds of trails, roads, highways, you name it. And getting a handle on these different words, it can totally change the game for how we read these texts.
I mean, think about it. Even in English, right? A highway is totally different from a trail or a side street. Each word brings a different image to mind. Well, the original Hebrew is exactly like that, maybe even more so. So what we're doing today is basically opening that door to see the full high-definition picture.
Okay, so let's get into it. One of the coolest things about the way the Bible is written, especially in Hebrew, is how it takes something really physical, something you can touch and see, and uses it to explain something, well, spiritual. The whole idea of a path is the perfect example of this. It starts out as literal dirt under your feet, and before you know it, it's a metaphor for your entire life journey.
So let's meet our main players. We've got 4 key Hebrew words to look at. First up is Orach. Think of that as a small personal trail. Then there's Mecillah, which is kind of like the ruts left by a wagon. Then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you've got Mecillah, which is a full-on built-up highway. And last, there's Nathib, which is more like a worn-down side path. See, each one has a totally different vibe.
So let's kick things off with Orach. This one's the most common, shows up around 60 times. And it's not some massive interstate, okay? It's a little track, a personal path. It's all about your individual journey, the way you walk through life day to day.
And this verse from Genesis, it's a perfect picture of it. It talks about a viper along the path, the Orach. You can just imagine this little narrow trail. It's up close and personal. That's the path of our daily choices and actions.
All right, now let's flip the script completely. From that little Orach, we jump to Mecillah. And this is the exact opposite. This is a highway, a main road. In fact, the word itself comes from a root that means to lift up, like you're building it up from the ground. So this isn't some trail that just happened to be there. This is a road that was built on purpose. And you can't find a better example than this epic line from Isaiah. The prophet isn't saying, hey, find a little trail for God. No, he's saying make a highway in the desert. This is a massive public construction project. It's about preparing the way for something huge to happen. You feel the difference, right? Tiny personal trail versus massive, purpose-built highway.
Okay, so we've got these two pictures in our heads now, the little trail and the big highway. Now let's see how the writers of the Bible, especially in a book like Proverbs, take these physical ideas and turn them into incredible metaphors for how we live our lives. This is where it all starts to get really personal.
Proverbs just nails this stuff. And check this out. It contrasts the path of the righteous with the path of the wicked. But guess what word it uses for path in both cases? You got it, Orach, that small personal track. So the righteous person's journey is this personal walk that just gets brighter and brighter, like the sunrise. But the wicked person's journey is also a personal walk, just a crooked and twisted one. It's the same kind of path, but leading to 2 totally different places. All right, next up we have Mecillah, and this word is so cool. I want you to picture an old dirt road with tracks from wagon wheels. You know how after a while those ruts get really deep and it's almost easier for the wheels to just stay in them? Well, that's Mecillah for our lives. It's talking about our habits, the patterns we've worn into our lives, the direction we're headed, simply because those are the ruts we've been following.
So, when Proverbs tells us to give careful thought to the paths for your feet, it's using this word. It's basically saying, hey, pay attention to the ruts you're making. Are they straight? Are they leading somewhere good? Or are they all crooked and wobbly? It's a challenge to be really intentional about the habits that shape our entire lives.
Okay, so we've talked personal trails, we've talked life ruts. Let's circle back now to that huge idea, the Mecillah, the highway. Because here's the thing, the Bible doesn't just talk about these highways, it actually tells us to build them.
And that brings us to the action word, salal. This verb means to build up, to cast up, to raise something from the ground. It's the physical act of building a Mecillah. See, a highway for God doesn't just magically appear. It takes work. It takes intentional effort. And Isaiah 62 gives us this amazing three-step blueprint. Step 1, build up the highway. That is salal in action. Step 2, remove the stones. Get all the junk out of the way so nobody trips. And step 3, raise a banner. Let everybody know this is the way to go. It's this complete, powerful vision for preparing the way.
Now hang on, because this verse from Jeremiah is like the grand finale that brings all these ideas together. It's so important. God is saying that his people were made to stumble on the good ancient paths. And where did they go instead? They ended up on side paths, that's our other word, natib. And here's the kicker, they walked on a way not built up. That phrase uses the exact same root word as salal, the verb for building a highway. The contrast couldn't be clearer. You have the ancient established way, and then you have these unprepared, unbuilt side trails that are dangerous.
Wow, okay, so we've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? It's amazing how one little word can just explode into this whole universe of meaning. So let's just pull it all together one last time.
So you have Orach, that's your personal, daily walk. You have Magal, those are the habits, the ruts that are setting the course for your life. Then there's Mecillah, the big, intentional, prepared highway that's built for God's purposes. And finally, Nativ, those are the little side trails, the moral choices that can pull you off course.
And really, this is the whole point, isn't it? The big takeaway is that the Bible gives us this richer, more colorful vocabulary to talk about our own lives. The daily choice we have isn't just this black and white good versus bad. No, it's, are you on the prepared highway? Are you stuck in a crooked rut you made yourself? Or are you wandering down some random side trail that leads who knows where? The pictures these words paint are just so much more vivid and honestly so much more helpful.
So, as we wrap this up, I guess the question I want to leave you with is a pretty simple one. When you really think about your day-to-day choices, your habits, the big picture direction of your life, which of these ancient paths are your feet actually on? Are you walking a personal Orach that's getting brighter every day? Are you carving a straight and steady Magal? Or are you maybe even part of building that great Mecillah, that highway for God? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.